Let's introduce ourselves, I suppose.
Hey,
Who are you?
I'm Jared Rasick. I am the lead shorts programmer of the Bend Film Festival, as well as the film writer for the Source Weekly. And you are?
As well as, though, as a Tin Pan.
Oh, and I work at Tin Pan. I
Uh-huh.
pop popcorn and sell beer at Tin Pan as well, which is where we
And
are
do
in the beautiful.
programming, Jared.
And I
I,
oh, and I do that too. I really have a lot of jobs, guys. I
yeah,
don't. 10 out of 10, I recommend it. It's fun, but like also sometimes it's too many.
yeah.
What do you do?
I
Tell me.
know Jared's bio clearly better than Jared does.
Then yeah. Thank you.
I am the programming director at Bend Film.
How long have you been doing that for?
Well, I started working with the festival 8 years ago, so this is going to be my eighth festival. But
Okay.
in this role that I'm in, responsible for the entire festival program, is fourth year.
Nice. All right.
Yes, yeah, and I am very excited about the program, and we're here to talk at length about it, not in like bite sizes, but like at length,
Yeah. Yeah.
in a satisfying way,
Right.
which
Well,
is exactly what I
I
want.
I think a perfect place to start would be one of the things that I'm the most excited about.
Yes.
Karen Kusama is coming.
Uh-huh.
I'm a big fan because I grew up watching. I grew up. I was probably in my mid 20s, but uh,
You were still growing
I
up.
was still growing up. Jennifer's Body. She wrote and directed Jennifer's Body. No, she directed Jennifer's Body. Diablo Cody wrote it. But
Hmm.
her debut with Girl Fight, her
Hmm.
film Destroyer, also specifically like some of her directorial work on Yellow Jackets, I think is some of the best television directing I've
Yes,
ever
and Neon
seen. And yeah,
Flux.
Eon Flux is legitimately an underrated, dare I say, masterpiece. I love
Yeah,
that movie a
yeah.
lot. So tell me, what was one of the reasons you wanted to bring Karen Kusama to the festival?
Well, I saw a girl fight, maybe, I don't know how old I was now, but I don't remember exactly what year it came out, and we can look. It's probably in here somewhere. Um, but yeah, I saw it as a teenager, I think, when I went to college to study film.
Mm,
It was a gift to me, so that was my introduction to Karen Kusama's work. And last night I was watching it again
nice.
after so many years,
Hmm.
and I couldn't believe how well it aged. It's so impressive.
Yeah.
And like I'm programming a lot of first features now, and watching this first feature from Karen, it was like, wow, no wonder she got Eon Flux right after that. No wonder she
Right.
went on to have this major career. Like, what a big leap.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was super impressed by it. Michelle Rodriguez is amazing, and we are
Yeah.
screening it at the festival. Um, as a She's also going to be a first feature presenter, as well as our main honoree, the indie filmmaker of the year. So yeah, I'm really blown away that we were able to bring her out, and she agreed
Amazing.
to do it.
Yeah.
And she will be doing a Q&A after Girl Fight, so
Uh,
anyone who has seen it, well, who hasn't seen it obviously must see it, but even if you have seen it, it's definitely worth revisiting.
yeah.
um
Especially with her in attendance.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And she'll be doing a Q&A afterwards, and then we will be screening her latest film, Destroyer, with Nicole Kidman and Sebastian Stan. It's also a very impressive film, and also it kind of charts this beautiful trajectory as a filmmaker to go
Hmm.
from Michelle Rodriguez's character in Girl Fight to Nicole Kidman's character in Destroyer. And it's kind of interesting how those two characters kind of parallel each other, and how the filmmaking
Yeah.
behind it, the artistry behind it, really supports those characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would be amazing, of course, to hear her talk about them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear her talk about The Invitation. Also, that's one. I
Yes.
think that is one of the most underrated horror movies of the last 15 years. Like, it's
Yes.
legitimately a great film.
Yes, and
Yeah.
years ago I wrote an article about that film
Nice.
for the Brattle Theater. Yeah, like I have like a bit of history like with
Hmm.
all her films, I think. I have not seen Yellow Jackets, so that's my bad.
Do you want? I can give you my Showtime login, and you can watch them. But
We will cut. We
uh,
cannot cut this. We are live. Is
no, no,
that
no.
is that legal?
Yeah, yeah. No, Showtime executives, we would never share passwords.
No, no, I will be subscribing
Yeah,
right
yeah,
away.
it's totally worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
She will also be doing two panels, which is major importance
yeah.
for me personally, and I think for our filmmakers. She'll be leading a first features panel where she'll be moderating a panel with some of our competition filmmakers, and we will be talking about those films in a minute. But she will be asking these bright young emerging filmmakers
Yeah.
about their process, and we'll be sharing about her own process and how that changed over the years, how filmmaking changed for her over the
Mhm.
years. So I think that's going to be super special. And she will also be talking with our very own John Cooper. Um, and some of the panelists will be Rebecca Yeldem, who's a documentary juror
Mm.
and a major producer, and Effie Brown, who's also got an amazing, prolific filmmaking career. So
Mhm.
it'll be really exciting to see Karen, Effie, and Rebecca talk to John Cooper about their careers and
Mhm.
filmmaking today, because they're all actively producing films now, and
Yeah.
they have been doing this for so long. So that's a major opportunity for any filmmaking, fans, filmmakers, where we are in Central Oregon
Yeah.
and visiting filmmakers. So
I think
yeah.
that's always been one of the most amazing things specifically about the panels at the Bend Film Festival
Mm-hmm.
is as an audience member, some of those conversations you get to witness, it's almost like you get to be a fly on the wall of
Mm-hmm.
like these like genuine geniuses kind of
Mm-hmm.
sharing their process with each other. And I think that's one of the very rare things about in particular the Bend Film Festival that
Mm-hmm.
audiences get to enjoy with us.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm
Yes.
excited for that one in particular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm really looking forward to having her here.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and we can talk about a little bit about the competition films,
Yes,
shall
please.
we?
Yeah,
Jared has been screening them in advance
I
for the
have.
source, and he's
Yes.
been writing about them, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, that came out in today's paper.
Yes, and I
Yeah,
read it
nice. How
today, this
yeah,
morning.
so did
You
it?
did a great job.
Thanks.
You
All
did
right.
not include my quote.
No, I
I
did. I
know
did. Yeah,
you
that's
will.
going in next week's.
You yes,
Yeah.
but I did notice. I was like, why did he ask me to write this on Sunday? Um,
I thought I was gonna have room. See, with newspapers, you have inches, and I had way too many inches in this one, and I was like,
and I
do
am
I
a
cut my own opinion or do I cut Celine? Celine, and
yeah,
then
I am a very inch
yeah,
heavy writer.
yeah, me
So like
too.
he asked me for a line, and I like wrote this paragraph. It's
It's a
very
great paragraph, and you will see it not in this source, but the next one.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
forget the festival. It's just you
it's
just need
just
to read that
you.
those
Yeah,
inches
really.
that I wrote.
But if you decide not to forget the festival, let's talk about the narrative features really quick first.
Yes.
The one that I think I don't know that I invented a word, but in my review for Rent
Oh,
Free,
yeah, I
I
did
think I
see.
invented what did I call it? It was not grime punk. Is that what it was? No.
There was something you invented two words then, because
I might
I'm
have
thinking,
invented do you remember what they are?
who
Um,
has the source here?
I mean they're all over the place. Let me see if I can find one. But I, one thing I wanted to mention is the dichotomy between Adult Best Friends and Rent Free. How we look at these two movies like here's what a functional female friendship is like, and then here's what a barely functional male friendship is like.
The female friendship isn't very functional either.
Of it starts functional and gets less functional. I feel like, whereas the male friendship, the thing that I found so fascinating is like because my male friends and I are the same way. Is it's like you don't really say what you really mean until you're super drunk, and then you're like, here's
Mm.
exactly how I feel. And I'm gonna
Mm.
say it really close to you, right in your face. Do you feel that's specifically like a male versus female friendship thing? Or yeah? Yeah.
Elise is nodding.
Elise is definitely nodding.
I don't really know. I have a brother. I have a lot of guy friends. I don't know if my friendships are different between women and men. I kind of, you know, say exactly what I feel and think
Yeah, you
to
do.
whoever
She really does.
at any moment. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Yeah, I think it's maybe a fault of mine, like some flaw in my
I don't
character.
think it's a flaw.
It's like,
I think you are a rare jewel. Um, so, but for you in programming those
yeah.
films, was it? Did you look at it like those are kind of the opposite ends of kind of the
You
same
know, it's
spectrum a little
funny
bit?
because they came to me at the same time, and they had both premiered at Tribeca very recently
Okay.
when they came to my attention. And I kind of feel like both Adult Best Friends, maybe we didn't say the titles, did we?
Yeah.
Rent Free and Adult Best Friends. They are both, I think, the quintessential Bend Film Festival
Yeah.
films.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Definitely.
know, they're
Definitely.
comedic, they're lighthearted, they're very indie
There's a core of
in
sadness.
production. Yes, there are like these underlying elements, but essentially it's like this cool, hip,
Yeah.
very relatable indie comedy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of found when I watched them, I was like, oh, it's a Ben film.
Nice. Yeah. Exactly.
So it was kind of a no-brainer to include them in the program. But yeah, of course they have depth.
Yeah.
Um,
They sure do.
yes, and they're also very fun to watch. And
Yeah.
both filmmakers will be in attendance, and they will be doing the panel with Karen.
Great. Okay.
And when I wrote to them about this, they were so thrilled to be at the panel with Karen too, which made me
Ah.
really happy because it feels like giving them a gift
Right.
in exchange for them giving us a gift of their
Right.
films. So I was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
They really are both great films. Like they don't feel like they thematically they're similar, but they don't cover any of the same ground really. Like they're very
No,
different films.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
no. And they have each like their own little clerks and quirks. Clerks?
Yeah.
Maybe they have
There's
clerks.
there's Clerks vibes for sure, especially with Rent Free. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they have their own quirks and
Yeah.
stylistic
Yeah.
elements that, perfectly complement the
Yeah.
themes in the film.
Yeah. So in the
Yeah.
paper, I called Rent Free
Yeah.
Gen Z grimecore cringe comedy. I think part of that was invented by me. I don't know.
Or at least the
Um,
combination, maybe.
but another thing I might have invented, I don't know, was for another one of our narrative features,
Oh.
To Kill a Wolf.
Mm.
I called it Oregon Noir.
That's, I think, the
Um,
one that I was.
yeah.
Or you said something about Halloween Town.
Oh,
Maybe. It was
what
another Oregon
I
weird
think I
word.
said quintessentially Oregon.
No, there was
Oh
a
wait,
weird
what did
word.
let's see. I do use weird words.
But anyway, this
Yeah.
Elise is looking at us like I'm gonna
Sorry.
try to make clips out of this, and you're giving me a real hard time.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
we
sure.
will stick to what we need to do here.
Well, so I brought up To Kill a Wolf because
Yes,
the thing that's fascinating to me about that film is that it's kinetic and still at the
yes,
exact same time, and
that's a great way of putting it.
it's rare that films can kind of walk that.
It's almost as if you're like an accomplished film critic.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful description of the film.
Thank you.
And the director will also be doing the panel with
Nice.
Karen
Okay.
and Delaney and Fernando. And yes, it's got this beautiful cinematography, very vibey, very
Yeah.
atmospheric, very touching, very real. So much so that the actress, and I don't remember her name,
Mm.
um, she is so real, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Completely.
oh, like it's sometimes you have the sense that you're watching a documentary,
Yeah.
but it's got all the stylistic and measured elements of a narrative film at the
Right.
same time.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very and it's a first feature, and it's shot in Oregon.
Yeah. And it feels
Yeah.
it. I saw early comparisons to it, like Winter's Bone and this and that, but it
Mm-mm.
really kind of feels like it's its own thing. It doesn't feel like it's trying to, a big, past festival movie. It very much feels like kind of a dark fairy tale in a way that none of those other ones really kind of feel.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
and great performances.
Yeah,
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 it's a really cool accomplishment on the
yeah,
part of the
yeah.
filmmaker.
Agreed.
All right. So we will touch on very quickly bite size.
Yeah,
This is all for Elise.
Manifera is beautiful. If you get a chance to
Yeah.
come see that one, that was probably my favorite
Yeah,
narrative
I
that I
mean,
watched.
I hate to like call things my favorites and stuff, but Mamifera really did touch me deeply because it was so moving
Yeah.
and so funny, and the relationship at its core is so authentic.
So real.
Uh,
In 30 seconds, these two actors make you feel like you're
yes,
witnessing a real relationship.
yes, and that
100%.
you're very welcome in their lives
Yeah.
and in their world, and you get exactly what they're thinking and feeling, and you feel in their
Hmm.
shoes immediately, and you fall in love with the other from each character's perspective, and you really feel deeply their individual, problems,
Yeah.
how they're like confronting the situation that they're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a beauty, and it's so fun to watch. It's got animation, it's got amazing, yeah, it's
Yeah.
got everything amazing. So okay, we will move on from Mamifera, but
It's a great
it's
movie.
definitely a beautiful film. La Cocina. um how do you even describe the chaos and craziness of La Cocina? You do it.
I wouldn't compare it to The Bear, but fans of The Bear will like it, if that makes sense. Like I
Mm.
wouldn't they're not similar, but tonally there's a little bit there where you're like, "Oh, I'm behind the curtain now."
Yeah,
I don't
and
know why I did that. That was weird. I apologize everyone.
Rooney Mara is in it,
Yeah.
who is a wonderful actor. And I was thinking, like, oh, this is like does this film feel indie Bend Film Festival
Mhm.
competition? But it does. It really does. Despite Rooney Mara's presence in it, it does have such a indie, like guerrilla filmmaking
Yeah.
vibes. It's black and white. It's very stylish, very cool, very chaotic, very fast,
I think Rooney
a
Mara
little bit
makes things
insane.
more
Yeah,
in I think her performance in it almost makes it feel a little more indie. Like
yeah, yeah,
she's very like so she's so singular that her performance in films I think can sometimes even add more of an indie flavor to them, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So that's a special film for sure. Okay, um, Goodbye Julia, an epic. In short, it's an epic story. Have you
I
seen that
haven't
one
seen that
yet?
one yet, no.
Okay. Um, Asghar Farhadi films,
Yeah.
like A Separation and a bajillion other films that he
Yeah.
made. He goes to the Oscars with every film that he makes.
Yeah.
I think they don't. Like, the Academy doesn't watch his films anymore. They just go, sure, sure, come on,
Yeah, they're just like
come on.
you won.
Um,
Yeah.
you want him.
Yeah.
um, but it's the kind of morality tale that's found in Asghar Farhadi's films.
Okay.
So anyone who's a fan of his films would love, I think, Goodbye Julia, because it's hardcore, and also I think it speaks to any kind of separation in any country, whether it's political or religious or social divisions. It kind of, like, in a very specific way, to it's set in Sudan and it's about a specific conflict in the world, but at the same time it is extremely universal, and I that's what impressed me the most about the film. How is it so specific about this country and what's going on there, and say everything about division, separation, coming together, connection, love, everything. So it's really an epic morality tale. So
Well, now I'm gonna watch it as soon as I get home.
I know, now you have
You
to.
hyped me big time.
Yes. um
Four
Oh,
p.
we've done the narrative features
Yeah,
already,
you haven't.
except for
We
4
yeah,
p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it either. Those are the
You
two.
haven't?
I haven't seen 4 p.m. or Goodbye Julia. Those are the two I haven't watched.
Yeah, okay. 4 p.m. is right up your alley. I
Okay.
mean, I couldn't stress this enough. When I started watching this film, I was like laughing my head off and thinking, is it supposed to be funny? Because it doesn't really have a comedic vibe.
Oh, like me. Okay.
But it's like, it's so funny and it's so
Uh,
surprising and very, very bonkers weird.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think
it's perfect.
I think South Korea makes the best movies. I
Yes.
really do.
Yeah.
They make my favorite movies.
Super high tension, and you're like almost can't tell if you should be tense or why you're tense, but you are tense, and
Yeah.
at the same time you're really tickled.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
People
so
with anxiety will love this movie.
yes. And I believe it's the US premiere, so we're the first American film festival to show it, so
That's
it's kind of a
amazing.
major discovery
Yeah.
for us.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay. Okay, documentary feature
Yeah.
competition.
I liked Firebreak. That one I
Mhm.
felt like because so much is, if we always talk about movies being like a machine for empathy or whatever, but like I think that one in particular shows that as a country,
Mm-hmm.
we sometimes look at incarcerated people like it's punishment and not rehabilitation. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see a documentary that reminds us that that's what it's supposed to be, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, that's well put.
Yeah, I don't know. Firebreak is very, very powerful. If you're a fan of the television show called Fire Country,
Hmm.
weeknights on CBS, you will love Firebreak because it's basically the same. It's basically the documentary
That
version of
was
that
such
TV
a
show.
promotional line.
I just try to be, I want that
It's
network money. Uh,
it's very ballsy people doing very ballsy things.
yeah,
Can
yeah,
I say ballsy?
yeah. Yeah,
That's
sure.
fine.
Fuck
Say
it.
ballsy. Don't say that. It's
Why? I
far
can't.
from ballsy. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Helen and the Bear.
Yeah,
You didn't
nope,
see that one.
nope.
Another well, epic. The word epic comes to mind as a love story.
Mm,
Um and it's a very special film, very romantic, very, again, very real, very authentic. See, the similar words come to
yeah,
mind. I guess that's the stuff I like.
yeah.
um yeah, it's super moving and also super funny. Just a, yeah, just a very, very touching, special relationship film. And it's one that keeps opening up layers and layers into this one relationship
Mm,
over a very long period of time, that you chart the story of it over a period of time. So, and the
yeah.
access of the filmmaker and her relationship clearly with the subjects is amazing. It could be like a lesson in, documentary filmmaking
Mm.
alone. So
One thing I've noticed about you and your relationship with film in particular is that to you, in a way, it doesn't matter whether a movie makes you feel something good or makes you feel something bad, as long as it makes you feel something,
something,
as
yes,
opposed to just leaving you
something
with
big.
nothing. Yeah,
I,
something big.
I
Exactly.
like feeling
Yeah,
something big,
yeah,
no matter
exactly.
what it is. It's
And
true.
I would say of everything, especially in the documentaries, each one of them makes you
Yes,
feel something huge. You know?
yes, yes. I definitely like some emotional intensity
Yeah.
in all my films.
I want to leave a movie and call my grandma and see how she's doing and just check in.
Oh
That's
wow!
how I like to feel.
Which brings us to Join the Club.
Yeah.
Did you see that one
Nope.
yet?
I watched almost all the indigenous, almost all the environmental outdoor, almost all the narratives, but the
Okay,
documentary features I'm pretty far
okay,
behind on
that's okay.
still.
Okay, I will quickly talk through the documentary features since Jared over here doesn't have much to contribute.
I don't. I'm sorry.
You can just get excited and
I
make your
will.
make your festival list, and
Yeah.
it'll help you.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch all these
That's what I'm
before
here for.
next
I'm
week.
doing
Yeah.
this for you,
Thank
really.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, Join the Club, another epic story.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Uh, it's about Dennis Perron, if that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know. Who is a very important figure in legalizing marijuana,
Okay.
medical marijuana, or both. Um,
Isn't it all medical now? Is it?
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what it does.
Or is
I
it?
don't
Or it's all
know.
recreational. One or the other.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it is like it plays like a thriller. It's a documentary, and it's a historical documentary because it's got a lot of archival footage, etc. Lots of interviews and like this evolving storyline
Mm-hmm.
of how eventually marijuana was legalized, and the story in particular is set in San Francisco, and how this guy was helping people at first, AIDS patients,
Mm.
but also any kind of cancer patient, any kind of like patient that has like a huge medical need that the regular Western medical establishment isn't providing, and what marijuana could do to help. And then he kind of like sets up his, so he's kind of like an illegal drug pusher,
Okay.
but in a very nice way.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the benefit of the people. And then he also pushes legislature to make that happen. But there's also another story in the background with police trying to crack down on this thing because there's a bit of an illegal situation going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a story that like keeps the plot keeps evolving in
Yeah.
these interesting ways. And then knowing where we are now with Marona, it's really interesting to look back at that time and at these
Right.
characters and what they did for each other, and how they came together for all of us to benefit from whatever there is to benefit from
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
medical marijuana.
yeah.
So
I
it's
love.
really cool.
I really appreciate documentaries that alternately kind of feel like a thriller, where you're on the
Exactly,
edge of your seat. Yeah,
exactly, exactly. And
yeah,
we had some last year, and I think that's also another like theme of
yeah,
mine, that
yeah.
it's not just like sit down and be educated, but
Right, right. Yeah,
get
like
excited,
Pez Outlaw.
be nervous,
Like
go
you're,
crazy.
yeah,
Yes,
you're just like, oh my gosh, where's this going?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Mediha
Okay,
is a very special film. It's a very unique film.
tell me about it.
I will.
Okay.
I'm about to. It's about a young girl who was captured by ISIS and then was rescued.
Okay.
And the filmmakers gave her a camera, and she uses the camera throughout the film as kind of her therapist, her or her
Hmm.
um like diary
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
And she basically charts her own healing process in a way, or her own even processing of the trauma that she went through, and her brothers who were also rescued from the hands of ISIS. So um
Wow.
and you kind of see the contrast between how she processes what she went through, and how her brothers process what they went through. um and and it's like interesting being about trauma and ISIS. Like, people would tend to think it's a very heavy film, which it is, but at the same time they're children,
Right.
so they are being kids and opening up their hearts and being funny and silly and doing all the things. And I don't know,
Sounds beautiful,
it's
but
it
hard,
is
hard.
really beautiful. It's not, it's a very heartbreaking film,
Yeah.
but it's not depressing at all. It's
Hmm.
very uplifting in an interesting way. And it's really hopeful and super sweet and touching. And yeah, it's a very special, I think, a very unique film that's hard to find because of the subject's access and agency in telling her own story, and the way that she was given that agency. So yeah, like, I can't really say enough.
And that sounds like kind of the perfect film for like a festival where where you come to experience
Yeah,
lives that are so far removed from your own.
exactly, exactly. And in such interesting creative ways, and it's
Yeah.
very well edited. Anyway, okay. I will move on to Public Defender. The filmmakers will be here, which is amazing. And I don't know if you know about this already, but um, it charts the story of Heather Shaner, who's a defense attorney, and she takes on the cases of January 6th defendants.
Oh, okay.
Um, and while she's doing this, she tries to empathize and connect with these people,
Uh huh.
who she politically obviously disagrees with. I
Right.
shouldn't say obviously, I guess. But she does.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So despite their differences and disagreements, they come together on a human level and
yeah.
connect, and she's able to help them. And it's talk about an empathy making film.
Right.
It really does, I think, play a huge part in bringing people together who disagree on politics, because right now we think if you disagree with me politically, then we have nothing in common.
Right. Right.
But we do have a
Hmm.
lot in common, right? And this film is basically a testament to that
Yeah. That sounds
idea.
fascinating.
Yes. All right. I have three more documentary features. I could see Your Fat Friend is an amazing
I'm
film.
watching that one when I get home tonight.
Well, you were gonna
That's
watch Goodbye Julia.
I'll fit them
Double
both in.
double feature.
It's gonna be rough. I don't sleep much.
Okay,
It's true.
Your Fat Friend is. I kind of felt like watching it, maybe because I am a parent.
Hmm.
I'm also the child of parents, but as a parent, maybe I watched it and I really related to the parents as well as the subject, and how we just have such a complex situation as humans. We
And
can't
how we
we
relate
can't
to our
yeah,
parents and our children. Yeah.
yes, and what we get from them, how we're shaped by them, how we shape them in
Yeah.
return. The complexity of human life and nature and presence is all in there through this, again, very specific character, a hilarious subject at its center, who lives
Mm.
in Portland. Uh, what's her name? Aubrey Gordon. And yeah, she's so smart and so witty and so fun to watch. Like, you could just listen to her all day long and be entertained fully. And a very deeply personal story with her and her parents and how they relate to each other. And the filmmaker, Jeannie Finlay, is a prolific, very accomplished documentary
Mm.
filmmaker. And I think her knack for getting her subjects to emotionally open up and be in the moment present is really a masterclass in documentary filmmaking.
Mm.
So, and you can go and watch all her films and you'll find the same thing, and this is a perfect example of it. So absolutely not to be missed,
Yeah.
especially with a Portland character at its center. All right, Zorowski v. Texas. So this was the last documentary feature competition film I programmed, and I was like, oh my god, I have so many women's films or women's related films, what people call that, but I kind of think women's films are everyone's films.
Mm.
But there were a lot of women centric films in there, and I was like, I don't have space for another one. But then I watched this, and I was like, god damn it.
Right.
I'm gonna have to program this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I cried the most watching this film.
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
know if people would want to do that, or maybe you have to be a mom to like bawl your eyes out. I don't know exactly, or maybe if you're not, you still would. I don't know. But anyone, I think, who's ever been pregnant or given birth, or or anything around that, or fathered children, knows the vulnerability of what it's like to be in that moment. And this is really a gut punch of a film. And I'm
If you do, it's okay.
shut up. Um, where are we still live? Okay. Um, no. So yeah, it's super special. And the directors, one of the directors is going to be here.
Perfect.
She will be doing a documentary panel with other public defender filmmakers also going to be there. Helen the Bear filmmaker is also going to be there. So I can't wait to hear from them about what it was like to make these films and
Yeah.
whether they were crying throughout the whole thing behind the camera or what. But they are like, talk about high emotions,
Hmm.
definitely very emotionally intense, also though beautiful and necessary, I will say. um
Sounds
Bye Bye
exciting.
Tiberius, very quickly I have to touch on this one too. Hiam Abbas's daughter makes this. So Hiam Abbas, who was in Succession, who plays the wife of the
Brian
Brian
Cox's wife.
Cox's
Yeah.
wife. She's an amazing, very accomplished actress, and her daughter makes this film about her mother and their family,
Mm.
like generations of women in their family.
Wow.
Um, and I don't know, maybe because I'm Turkish, I really related to the banter of the women characters in the film. Just their laughter, their sense of humor, their freeness with each other and themselves. I just loved the sense of humor. And as a personal story, like family history story, it is really hard. I find, watching so many films, it's really hard to for a filmmaker to make other people outside of their family care about their own
Hmm.
family. And this film really does that, because like over the course of the film, you feel like you are family
Yeah.
with these characters, even though you may have nothing in common with them.
Wow.
So it's another very special personal story. let's talk about environmental outdoor features program.
Yeah.
What did you see? I talked a lot.
I saw the cigarette surfboard.
Hmm.
I saw the Wonder and the Worry,
Hmm.
and I saw Aitza.
Hmm.
I have Queen of the Tetons loaded and ready to watch.
All right.
Um,
So tell me about what you thought about Aitza.
I think it's my favorite thing I've watched so far because,
Hmm.
like, I don't think I. So I think one of my favorite movies the last 10 years is this weird little documentary called Fayadai that came out a couple of years ago, and
Hmm.
this kind of reminded me of that, where it's like it has one central idea, but then it covers so much that it feels like Aitza to me felt like it was about the past and the present and the future and space and the earth. It was like everything all wrapped into one
Hmm.
story. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't it's one of the most intensely beautiful things, and it puts you in an absolute trance while you're watching it. Like,
Hmm.
it's very I can understand people maybe thinking it's slow moving, but I thought it was captivating, mesmerizing.
Hmm.
What do you think?
No, I loved it. I watched it at Big Sky Film Festival.
Mm.
It premiered there, and I was on the jury, and we gave it the best doc award
Oh wow.
there.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I was mesmerized by it also, and I like it was kind of like the one film that I thought, oh, I could watch this again and again because there's so much there, and you're not really sure if you're absorbing everything
Right.
as it's intended
Right.
because it's got a power of sorts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
um so yeah, and it's very cinematic, and I think it's very important to see a film like this in a theater
Mm.
and really be alone with it and with as little distraction as possible. Yeah, it's really about everything. It's about how the humanity's future is, and or what we're looking towards rather, and where we have been, and how those two things are connected, which is
Yeah.
an epic theme.
Yeah. It's unbelievably large in scale and scope.
Yes.
It really is. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it,
And to
honestly.
think that it's the filmmaker's first feature film
Wow.
is pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what an ambitious project,
Yeah.
and to also pull it off is something else.
So what'd you think of Cigarette Surfboard?
Cigarette surfboard was so fun. So I don't
Yeah.
surf, I don't do any water sports or sports in general.
I'm an indoor kid, so
Yeah, but I love it when I love a film that's about the outdoors.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just seems so like if I love this film, surely anyone and everyone would, you
yeah.
know. Yeah, and it's not so much about surfing, right? It's not a surfing film, even
Hmm.
though there's great surfing footage in it,
Hmm.
but it's really about surfers doing something for the ocean that they surf.
Yeah,
um and so it's a precious little film, and it's got such a quirky little idea of like making surfboards using cigarette butts that are
yeah,
found in the oceans.
yeah,
um so it's a pretty wild premise, a
yeah.
quirky premise, and then they pull it off, and then they do more and more and more with it. Like as the film
Right,
goes on, you're
right.
like, surely it's about to run out of steam.
Yeah, that's
This,
exactly. After about 15 minutes, I was like, "How can this be a feature and not a short?" And then you realize it keeps escalating. Like what they're trying to do keeps escalating, and like
yeah.
because it really at first it really is just about how to build a surfboard with cigarette butts, and then it becomes how to actually clean up our oceans, and
And then,
yeah,
how do we change
yeah.
the world?
And it
It kind
never
of goes to a very large.
without ever feeling, I would say, preachy or condescending either, like
Yeah,
it
and
could, which it could have easily been, and
yeah,
yeah,
it stays really funny and quirky and
yeah,
light. You know, another thing of like environmental films, when they're trying to be like doom and gloom story and
right,
here's what must be done. But this is like this, it's got so much originality, ingenuity,
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
It's got a good, positive, happy spirit, and it's packed full of emotion.
right,
Sorry,
right,
not just emotion, but information,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like you
yeah,
learn a lot,
yeah.
um, and you will never look at a cigarette butt the same
You
way.
really won't. You really
No,
won't. And it's also one of those, if especially if you're a fan of those kind of documentaries where the director and documentarian is also kind of the subject and main character as well, because like you're following his journey more than
with
it
this
just,
idea,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
with the
So
board.
it reminded me, it gave me like Super Size Me vibes, where it's like,
Mm,
he's the subject and he's,
yeah,
the filmmaker. Yeah.
but the subject is a different surfer. You know that, right?
Is it the guy with the little mustache was not the director?
I
Little
don't
mustache
remember
guy?
his facial
I thought
hair
he was
now.
I was thought he
No,
was
no, the Taylor, the surfer that the film is about, is not the
the
director.
guy who made the surfboard is not the director.
No.
See, I thought he was the director because he talks about like the actual process of everything that he was doing. So I totally
Yeah, no,
it's
the
interesting.
filmmaker, the
Okay.
director is also a surfer,
Okay.
but they're
Okay.
different people.
Nice.
And they're
Okay.
both coming.
Oh great. Okay.
So you will notice that they're different
Are
people.
they gonna are they gonna bring this are they gonna bring the board?
They
I'm
will
assuming
bring
or
the
bring a
board.
board.
Actually, that's a really good point that we should mention. They are going to surf the wave park
Nice.
at McKay Park on Friday at 3:30 p.m. on the festival weekend. So October 11th, Friday at 3:30 p.m. They will bring the cigarette boards,
Great.
um, Siggy boards they call
Siggy
them,
boards, yeah.
and they will surf at the wave park, and they will let other people try it.
No kidding? Okay.
Uh-huh. And then yeah. And he's also going to be at the documentary panel
Great.
with our filmmakers. The not the surfer dude, the surfer director.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
That was such a funny little anecdote.
That's great.
Okay, The Wonder and the Worry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the bread and butter of Bend. I feel like
Oh yeah.
the Bend
Yeah.
sensibility. There
Yeah.
couldn't be a better fit, I think, for the Bend Film Festival.
You know what I really liked about it too is that because there's an old fashioned quality to Bend that
Mm-hmm.
like we hold on to. Bend is very bad at killing their darlings, and so like I love that this movie is a documentary focused. It's a love letter to National Geographic and
Mm-hmm.
specifically the magazine and the idea of like spending a year to get a photo like that's
Mm.
something. Everything is such a rush hurry that it felt beautiful to watch a documentary about just taking your time to do something perfect,
Yes,
you
yes.
know.
And I mean, we all love the National Geographic, obviously.
Yeah,
So it's really interesting to see the story of the National Geographic through Chris
yeah,
Jones's lens. Chris
yeah.
Jones's
This
lens.
lens,
And he will be here
he
in
will.
Bend as well
Wow.
as the
Okay.
filmmaker on Friday on at the Tower screening.
Okay.
So if you come, you'll also meet Chris and the director.
Are they
Um,
doing a Q and A afterwards?
Yes, of
Okay.
course. And yeah, I what touched me the most about the film was the father daughter
Mm.
relationship and the what's the baton phrase, handing over the
Yeah,
baton,
yeah, yeah.
um, and how they kind of built their relationship as a father daughter around photography and
Hmm.
nature and bringing like truth
Yeah,
through visual storytelling. So it is a really really special film. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I liked it a lot, and the footage is stunning throughout the entire thing. The
yeah.
footage is
I
beautiful.
mean, yes,
Yeah,
the photographs are
obviously,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
like the best.
yeah, yeah. The actual best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's National Geographic.
Yeah,
You guys get it.
they just had to
Yeah,
put them on the screen and do nothing
yeah.
else.
It's like you don't even need to make these images move. We'll
No,
just look at
no.
them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Beautiful.
Um, all right, the indigenous program. So
Yeah.
we must start this before we talk about the competition program. We should talk about Sydney Freeland and the
Yes.
fact that she's coming.
Yes.
I've been trying to get her here for years,
Nice.
and this is the year she's coming. And she's just made this film called Resball. She's doing press for it right now. It's coming out right this minute.
I believe it came out yesterday. No, are we not gonna talk about it? We can edit, dude. She can edit the shit out of this. We're not live. Are we not supposed to talk about the? Because
No,
We're just
no.
like we didn't want it. We haven't wanted to have as little amount of editing as possible, and we
okay,
don't want to tell people it's on Netflix.
well,
It's literally already on Netflix. It came out on the 27th.
Yes.
here's what I think is weird about that, because and it was something I wanted to mention because it felt like advertisement for us in a way, is that the last literally month I go on Netflix, every time the page opens it says coming soon Resball.
But
It's
it's
not,
coming too soon.
yeah,
It
but
has. It's coming so soon.
it
It has
literally,
come.
it was like, it felt like they were pushing that movie harder than they've ever pushed a movie that was coming to that service. Like,
Yes,
I don't know about that.
yes. Well, and yeah,
Johnny Depp.
it's really cool. It's really cool that, and they're letting us screen this film because it's so fresh and so new.
uh-huh,
And Sydney is going to be at the festival, at perhaps the very last festival screening of that film. I
wow,
think it premiered at TIFF,
okay,
and this is it. So if you want to see it in a theater, we're gonna screen it at
yeah,
the Tower at our opening night film, and we will have a Q&A with Sydney right afterwards. Um, who's our Indigenous honoree this year as a filmmaker, because she has also made so many wonderful TV shows: Reservation Dogs,
yeah,
Echo, and Echo we will screen in Madras, the first two episodes.
which is,
Um,
that's an incredibly underrated Marvel series. Like, it
mhm.
was very, very smart, very character driven, very well done.
Yeah. And yeah, we're very lucky to have her. And she is also on our jury, and she will be judging these films in our competition
Hmm.
program.